Welcome, everyone. And here, as you see, we have Tony Gordon, who is a regular member of the Therapist in Conversation panel. And as we do, we're having a one-to-one to just get a little bit more knowledge about what Tony does. Hi, Tony. How are you?
Very well, thank you, Leslie, and thank you for inviting me on for this.
Oh, brilliant. I always love to get into the nitty-gritty of these things because, we see people and some people come and go, but when people are watching, hopefully, the episodes, they might want to know a little bit more about how they can contact you, what you do, and how you do it. So, when did you start? What was it that made you go this way?
Sounds weird to say it this way.
Oh,
So,
yes.
um, well, basically, I've been a coach for over 25 years. Majority of that's been in the financial industry and banking, coaching all different things from customer service, sales, coaching managers, helping people just to move into transition between different career paths that we're doing, where they want to get to. And during that time, I loved my job. Everything was great, but I got an illness. It was in 2011. Couldn't really understand what it was. I just kept feeling pains in my side, shooting all the way up my body. So same as normal, you think the worst. You think it's like a heart attack or something because the pain was that bad. And it turned out not to be. It was a kidney infection, which I'd never had before, and not understanding. It's unusual for a lot of males to get that. So it was very unusual for me not to understand the pain I was dealing with, and I felt like I need to battle through this because it felt like a big baby. Why was this thing stopping me? Just a pain, but you couldn't concentrate or anything. It was really affecting me. And stupidly, yes, I kept going, thinking I'd be all right. Got the doctor about 4 weeks later because it got severe, really bad. They took me straight to hospital. I was quite lucky then not to get sepsis or anything. I said after not dealing with it ill enough. And when you've got a wife who's a nurse, it's even worse because she kept nagging me, well, you need to get a seat now. Anyway, that went on and on. And after about a year of that, I started realising something was seriously wrong because I was getting these every month or two. And eventually he gave me a consultant said, yeah, we need to, with these scans, did it all. One of my kidneys had calcified because of the amount of infections I had, so it needed to come out. So this went on, did the operation for that. And then for the next 5 years, they operated over and over. I was in hospital every few months. Mostly get in for 1, 2 nights just to have antibiotics poured through me before I got ordered. And it just kept going. But during this period, I was getting really frustrated because I still didn't know what was wrong with me. I knew I was getting recurring kidney infections. I didn't know why. Nobody could explain it. Anyway, this went on. And about 4 years ago, I'd really had enough with not understanding about it. Sat down with a consultant, my fifth consultant, by the way. The rest all gave up on me because they couldn't sort it. This one was fantastic, but he did say that I was inoperable now. What he meant by that was that he's doing more damage than good. Even though he done a really major operation a couple of years before to a reimplantation for me, still wasn't going to be enough. Whatever he tried to do, it was the nerve ends of my body were getting so badly damaged. The pain from that was outlawing the pain from the actual problem in the first place. And so they sent me to counsellors and everything. Very nice people, but weren't doing any good for me. One was very good about it. She actually taught me I was better analysing myself than she was. So she couldn't help me. They put me CBT, everything. Got a good counsellor for the CBT and a thing called ACT, Acceptance Compassion Therapy, which was quite good. But it opened my eyes up to something that there was other choices because I didn't want to stay on medication. And I started looking into this industry then. I went through every kind of thing and holistic thing that I could think of to try. A lot of them didn't work for me, but the self hypnosis did, meditation, mindfulness, they work. And I managed to lower the pain. The pain will never go away, I know that, but I can keep it controllable. But what it did do with me was open my eyes up to something that, a word that you've used it before, we've used it on the therapy things, is woo woo. I'd never heard of this term. I didn't even know what it was. But when people started talking about it, I went, no, that's stupid. They can't work. How can somebody at the other end of the world actually heal me doing something called Reiki? How could that even help? But it was a guy in Australia wanted to try. Didn't work for me, but what it did do, it didn't get rid of the pain, but it opened my mind up. There was something happened when the connection between us was definitely there. I just couldn't get the pain rid of. And I started to understand that there's so much more out there that we don't know about. And that people walking about every single day with different ailments, pains, things that they're dealing with, don't not aware of these things that there's help they can get because the NHS not going
Interesting.
to promote it.
The interesting thing about Reiki is that they'll say to you that it doesn't always go where you think it's going to go. It goes
Mhm.
where it needs to be going. And
Yeah,
possibly that because you were teetering on the threshold, it was the opening of your mind that was actually the healing
yeah.
part.
And that was, you're really right, because funny enough, somebody else from Australia, she's actually Scottish, but I met about 2 years ago, there was someone in Australia, she was doing some coaching, she said, but she didn't really tell me a lot about it, but she had this thing. I was in a group session with them, and she says, I need to speak to you. Can we make an arrangement? I went, fine. So I didn't really know what it was about. And she went, look, you might not believe in any of this, it's up to you, but I'm going to tell you something. She's a soul coach, soul alignment coach, it's called. And she's been a medium for most of her life. She struggled with it when she was a young child because feeling weird, different from everybody else, didn't understand it a lot. But as she's older now, she's grown to be more attuned what to do. And she wanted to go through a chakra session with me, which
Mhm.
I had never heard of either. I'd seen, once she showed me a picture, I understood. I've seen them before and things, but I'd never actually taken through it. But the thing you mentioned about the Reiki was true is when she took me through this, she used one word that he did. Same as you said, I don't want to help my pain. What it did was open my intuition, to leave intuition open, to understand there's other things out there, and to trust my intuition. And that was the message she said she got in the session when I was with the group. She could see this aura, this thing about me that she needed to tell me that I needed to listen to trust my intuition. And that's where I am where I'm now, because I really trusted what she said. And when I was going to give up doing all of this, because I started as a career coach, and then as I started getting involved in all this, I went, this isn't really me. I'm a logical person, very thought person. Most people would say is very practical, pragmatic, and this thing seemed like the woo thing, but it just seemed like airy fairy to me. And then when I started actually talking to people more, working with them, and I could see the results they were getting with this, I went along into people who were doing things like EFT, emotional freedom technique. We're doing Reiki, reflexology, with crystal healing, sound healing. I went to these sessions with all of these, and you're right, it didn't always help me as in what I wanted it for, but it was helping me be calmer. It helped me to change my mindset. It helped me to be more free in myself as well. So though I went for one reason, I got something else. And then I realized by having all of that, I was actually helping the pain, because it was that was allowing me to manage the pain better. The intuition got me to understand when the pain was at its worst. So again, it let me trust my own limitations. I didn't have to stop doing things. I just had to do it differently.
Mhm.
Does that make
It's the
sense?
recurring theme at the moment. I'm noticing it as, the universal mind is really great when it comes to getting you to notice things that you're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be, that will be useful when they're coming up. Believing, seeing is not believing, believing is seeing,
Mm-hmm.
or is it? Because basically it's a case of when you believe something, when you're open to it, then your mind will say, oh, they want to know more about that. Okay, we'll open the door to that. We'll open that file cabinet and we'll let them rummage through there and see what they like. And it's a bit like Google. You chose this file, so you may like this too,
Mm-hmm.
you know? So I think that basically from personal experience as well, I think that what's happening is that you're getting prepared for the crossing of the threshold that of the doorway that you chose
Mm-hmm.
more than
Yeah.
anything else. So what is it you like about what you do?
It's funny. I spoke to somebody, a client, about this the other day, and it's the release moment that a client gets. It's not the outcome, because the outcome, people get bogged down with this. That this is what they come from. They think they've got to get to a certain point, but they sometimes miss the journey and getting to that point.
Mhm.
Is there's other things that's been happening rather than just that. For example, people always come in and say, "Oh, I'm really anxious. Why are you anxious?" Well, I don't know, but these things are happening. And they always think it's one thing that's caused it. When they actually start breaking it down, they think it's totally different from what they thought. And the overwhelm. And when they get to that point, when they sort of really realize that, and they realize that they can get help, the emotion that comes out of them is incredible. And that's what I call the release point with them, is that's when we really can start the work. They think that's the work being done. It's not. When that point happens, that's when we're attuned. So we're
Mhm.
both working together to get to where they want to go. Up until
It's
that
really when
point,
it
I'm still trying to figure things out of what they're doing. They're trying to work out what's wrong. Those two converge. that's when that release point comes, and that's when you can start moving forward.
Yeah, it's like the prequel, and then there's the main event.
Yeah, that's
So
it.
you're doing all the groundwork with the expectations and the kind of, that fractal of information. I always think that when things like competitions on television and the people who are on it are saying, yeah, well, I want to get to week X,
Mhm.
and then anything else is a bonus. But usually they get to week X and then they're out.
Mhm.
That's the week they leave, because they've already set themselves up for, that's my goal, that's the outcome I'm looking for. And we're always listening, not just to what everybody else is saying, but what we're saying as well, which is what is really good about hypnosis, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what people don't understand, I think, about their own mind. All the negative self-talk we tell ourselves is what holds us back. It's not the other people. It's not other people's opinions or other people think or anything that we think it is. It's not this big, great universe. It's ourselves. Because we're so good at telling us that I'm not good enough. I can't do that. I got. And they ask one simple question: who told you that? And it's always the same. I sat with one last week, and she was telling me all these things. It was all wrong and everything. I went, great, and we'll start over through each of them then. So, who told you that one? And you see the little smile on her face going, well, me. And the next bit, well, me. And by the end of it, she couldn't stop laughing. No, she wasn't laughing when she came in. And I always say to them, I've only got one condition with every client. It doesn't matter what way they come in the door, they smile leaving the door, or they sit there until they do. Because that's the bit that's the hardest, because you're right, what they tell themselves. And also, they've got to understand that goals are only steps on the way to the outcome. The goal is
Yeah.
not the outcome. The goal you think is not. People say that I want to get to this point, but why do you want to get there? That's what they have to think about. What is the reason of that? It's like someone you say about values and they say, well, money. So money's your value. Yeah. But what does money give you? Or the freedom to do this or this or that. I went, so what are they? If the money's the goal, you've got to, obviously you must stop because that's your outcome, you said. So you'll never do anything again. Oh no, I'll be spending money on. Then you look for your outcome. That's when they see the awakening thing in their eyes going, never looked at it that way. They get so fixated right on a goal of that they don't see the bigger picture themselves.
Have I not heard you say something about starting at the end and going backwards to find
Yeah.
out where you want to be?
Yeah, I do some in hypnosis with that to them is to future pace. Tell me to get the thing you want to go down, go and we'll go and see that now. So I take them to be a future version of themselves, see what they see, hear what they hear, feel what they feel in that person. Then they've got to come back and say, okay, what I want you doing the way back is take note of all the things you had to do to get to that point. So as they come back and do that, they've now got all the resources and tools to get there. I didn't have to do anything. I just guide them to the fact of it. If we work forward for it, they're hunting for that first step all the time. And that can be the most difficult part for people to take, is the first step moving forward, because they've got all this weight holding them back. You take them far and they realise themselves what the first step they need to do. It's such a big thing for the mind to actually realise that I know what to do. Right. And what you do is got to guide them in case there's any bumps on the road in the way there.
It's the unknown, the teetering on the brink of turning the handle and opening the door that you
Mhm.
think you want to go through, that you've aimed for such a long time. And yet there are so many people who are driven, passionate, and absolutely sure of what they want, but they get to that space and suddenly, because they're not sure about what's on the other side of it and how it will occur. So future pacing in a way is a bit like when athletes, you see them rehearsing their moves.
Yeah.
So it becomes a muscle memory.
Mhm. That's it.
So it's
And that's what you tell me you do with the mind. It's the exact same thing. Muscle memory is repetition. And your muscles need that repetition to get used to how to do a certain act. Your mind needs the same thing. Everything you do in repetition works for your mind. And the more you do that, your mind loves it. If you think of anything we do, the most common people use is the word driving. So you say to somebody, okay, you say about all these different thoughts in your head, right? Now go back to driving. What thoughts did you have the first time, not end now, but the first time you ever stepped in a car? Oh God, I was opening the door, right, and watching for what you've got to do, get into the car, right, make sure I'm aware and about. Then you get seated, right, your seat belt's got to go on, fix yourself into the seat, right, check the gears, check your mirrors, check, and like, all these things that go through your mind. Now tell me how you got that car today. And you see them do that, look at it, you actually recollect how you get into it. Do you realise you're doing that? And that, no. You're trying to look back to think of how did I get in that car this morning, because you can't even remember. because it's so repetitive that you do it every single day, it becomes second nature. And that's the same as if you've got an issue or a problem. What we do then is keep putting things in your mind, processes in place that your mind can work on so that it knows what's the right way of doing it. It's just finding the right neural path to use for each person that they need. But it's the same as you think of doing it like that. By the time you keep doing this, you would then say to yourself, I can't do it now. You'll be saying, why did I ever worry about that? Because it becomes so much simpler.
It's that old generalization and deletion situation.
Yeah.
Where you get into a car and you're doing a journey, the first time you do it, you're listening to your sat nav, or you're looking at your maps and you're trying to remember your points where you should be at this point and that point. And then a couple of times after you've done that journey, you get in the car and suddenly you're there.
Mhm.
Everything else is just flown away, because unless there's a detour or an accident or something like that, we're almost in a driving trance, because people, the studies are saying now that we are actually always in one form of trance or another. So we
Yeah.
have driving trances, we have learning trances, we have argumentative trances where we will go into the repetitive that you were talking about, all this repetition. So it's breaking the pattern. It's pattern breaking.
And that's why I know you understand the thing called neuroglyphic programming. Working with that hand in hand with hypnotherapy and using hypnosis, the two of them together is such a powerful thing to use. I did both, but I'd never looked at doing the two of them, how they actually complement each other all the time, and actually how similar. But then when you think about it, when you look at the original ones who set up the NLP, Bandler and Grinder, what they based all their things on, and if you look at right back, were actually great hypnotherapists as well, right from the beginning. So there's always been that process that, as humans, we've always known that this is a modality that really can help people deeply and quickly get change for people, but it's just not as widely known for people as how this can actually help. It's simply because people look at it as, well, the first client I had, is this going to put things into my mind? And I went, like, what are you going to put things? Are you going to brainwash me into doing something? That it doesn't work that way. It's things you've seen, TV programs, maybe books, things are written with them. But as you say, you don't believe everything that you read or you see on TV. It's drama, it's entertainment. But this is such a powerful thing to help. And one of the things I said, people say, but they don't get an NHS. The NHS has been using it since 1958. So if you think about it, they've been using it all that time, and you trust them for any illness that you've got. If you went to them and they said that we're going to do some hypnotherapy that you clear that, you would just automatically do it. Because we've always been attuned or indoctrinated to believe that doctors or nurses or school teachers, bank managers, even all the time, were always the ones that know everything's right. So it's more finding out now for yourself what really suits you.
And of course, it's horses for courses.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things that when we use it, I mean, the language is magic. It is
Mhm.
the original magic, and they don't call it spelling for nothing.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that the way that we use the language on ourselves is how we deal with it. So when you're looking for clients, when someone is interested to, perhaps has come to the realization that they need some help because they're blocked, they're stuck, they're just standing in front of the door, swithering and mithering. Who are these people, Tony? What
Anyone.
clients are your best clients?
It's for me, it's actually two parts, to be honest. One part is people over 40, who mostly male, but people over 40 who are stuck in a rut. They've got to that point in their life that they're in a job that they really think, I don't really like where I am. They've got to a point where they think there's more they want out of life, but they fear risk. They fear taking the chance to stay and try and get a promotion here. They move a side position, trying to go up. They move somewhere else, and they get themselves so fixated that then they start imposter syndrome. They see other people moving up and start thinking, "Well, I'm not good enough." So they get themselves stuck and trying to move. So all I do to them is give a bit of clarity to them and help them to take those first steps moving forward to get the freedom to choose what's the right option. Because when their clarity is unclear like that, they don't actually know where they want to go. But some people say it's because they're broken. They're not. They're fixed set into something because their mind is telling them that, because they're self-talk. So I just help them to take out of that. What I realized when I started working at it though is if we keep doing this and keep working with those people, it's like that. Why are we not preventing that happening? We're being reactive. So what I started doing is working also with students. And I work with students so that they get the life skills to help them so they don't become those 40-year-old people who are stuck in a rut. So when they get issues in work in life, they know it makes it easier to move on. A lot of them start off with like exam stress. In fact, this week I've had one, came exam stress. Exam stress was nothing about it. Actually, it's about things like their option towards work. How are they working? How are they setting out their work to do? Are they actually doing enough work? There's all these other things go on. Are they being peer pressured? Are they doing something in a course maybe they don't want to do, but they feel as though they have to? These things all come into it, and these students get stuck. And it's actually incredible how many either drop out in the first year or so, first, second year, or change what the major is or what they're doing because they have been pressurized at home. Parents think they're doing the right thing by pushing them into something, but the young kids and the young students don't know how to stand up and say, wait a minute, either this is not the right thing for me, or if it is, how to take away all that pressure so that they know that they can just do what they can do.
It's usually conditioning from the parents as well, though. It's a case of parents were expected to do this and understand these little cliches like you have to work to make money, money doesn't grow on trees. You have to do your duty. You must look after your grandparents or your parents. You must be there for your siblings. You must give, 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 give to others and never think of giving to yourself. When we both know that you cannot drink from an empty cup.
Yeah. And I think
So,
another thing with that, you're right as well, is that when they're doing that, we teach them from young kids that primary school they've got to do well, try and get better than everybody else to get to the right secondary school, to get into the right sets or groups in secondary school. You need to be the best to get into the top one, so you'll get the best good teaching. Then you get the best exam results. Then you go to college or uni and get the best. Everything is set out. But where would we be if we didn't have a world of entrepreneurs as well? If we didn't have an economy that didn't have small businesses like that stepping up? But how many students of that are allowed to actually develop into that themselves? No one gives them that option. I've now seen some great, a local university here, University of West of Scotland, who do that. They're really high in entrepreneurship and giving the students an option of where they want to get to. And that's kind of I want to work with the ones like that that want to open their mind to see what other options are available and they work towards that. They don't necessarily have to be set in stone. This is your whole life set out in front of you. Enjoy it, try things that are different and see if it works for you.
and so if a student was looking for you and wanting to know more about this and basically form a relationship with you, every client and every therapist, there's a relationship that goes on there
Yeah.
because, and each one is its own individual difference. So it's not a case of that you're using just the same stock stuff for everyone, is it?
No, I tell everybody the same thing because I got asked a lot about why you don't have certain packages on your website now. And I used to do that, but that's what people started to think. Because they saw the word package, they thought it was something that was set up. Package just means a group of sessions because I know roughly how many it would take me to do with certain people come with a certain issue. But what I tell individual clients is that I need to speak to you first of all before we go now. First, one of three things to happen. For them, either tell me that I'm not the right person for them, for me to tell them that they're not the right client for me, or more than likely we'll make a plan to work forward together. But until I get that rapport, as you just said, the connection, the rapport with them, I don't really get an understanding of what really is wrong. I get the superficial answer of what's wrong, but I don't really get. So the first session with me is I ask them simple questions. One thing is, what do I do? So like I understand they know what they're coming to me for. I'm not a counsellor, which a lot of them seem to think that's what they're coming for. And the second question is very simple. If it was you was coming in, I'd just say, tell me about Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
Simple as that. Tell me about you. I want to know the person because then I'm getting used to the language that you use. I'm getting used to your likes, your dislikes. So I know how to tailor things. So all my session packages are tailored to that individual who sits in front of me. That's why I'm a growth mindset coach and not a hypnotherapist. Because hypnotherapy might only be one aspect of what I use. You're right, the NLP, I use positive impact coaching, performance management, all different things I can use, CBT. I use all of them depending on what the client needs. I might use a little bit of each, I might use one type, but every client is totally different. And what their needs are totally different. Even though they all want to get the same sort of outcome, how they actually get there, the journey is different. So I need to adapt that to suit each of them.
And is it not important to say to people who answering the question am I the right therapist for you? If the answer is no, or are they the right client? If either of the answers is no, then it's not a one-stop shop.
No.
Everybody does it differently. That's why there are so many of us around.
Mhm.
So basically, if you're not getting on energetically or there's no rapport with one person, don't stop looking at that kind of therapy. Look at someone else. Ask people about their experiences with other people.
Yeah, and I'm quite lucky because I learned quite early on that one of the most important things when you're doing this is to make sure that you don't leave someone vulnerable. So even though I might not be the right person for them, I know other people like yourself. I've got a lot of lovely people who've got my connections that I know I can say to them, okay, I know you want to come here maybe for hypnotherapy or you want to come for this or that. It's not that that's the issue. I might know someone who can deal with your issue better, someone who's more experienced at that than me, or someone who specializes more in a certain area than what I do. So I know if it's spiritually, if they came to me for that, because I do a little bit, but not a lot, I would rather pass somebody on to yourself. Somebody that I know that I trust would really be able to help that person on that level. That I could do a job for them, but I'm not going to do what they really need. So I would rather pass to someone that I know could actually do that better than me.
And it's important that people understand that too. The fact is that it's not just a case of you've come through my door and I will make you better or else,
Mhm.
and if you are not better, it's, that's not my problem. But it's more a case of this is an holistic thing. It's about the whole thing. It's
Mhm.
about the whole person. And you've just said that you like to get to know the whole story
Yeah.
and understand what the whole person is about and how they're getting themselves into that situation. So while you're thinking about that, how do people get in touch with you, Tony?
Two simplest ways probably for anybody to get in touch is one, my website. It's changingyourmindlimited.com. The limited is LTD, so changingyourmindlimited.com. If they go there, every page on the website, there's a button they can press that'll take them straight through, and they can pick a date and time that suits them, and I'll automatically send them a link to go to if they want to come first of all and have a chat like this over Zoom. If it's face to face they want to do, just send me an email and I'll arrange that. So Tony Gordon at changingmindlimited.com. Again, Limited is LTD. They just send me an email there. I'll arrange a face to face. I have an office now in East Kilbride that they can come to as well. It makes it a very good transport. It's 2 minutes from a bus station and 4 minutes, I'd say, from a train station. There's parking there as well.
And you do things over Zoom as well, so you're not restricted to your local area, you're all over the world.
Yeah, I tell people it's ironic. People don't realise my first ever client was Alberta, Canada, and not even in Scotland. It was Canada. It was another therapist that passed them to me because they the type of issue they had, and they all lot with ideation, suicide ideation, that. So someone was struggling, they passed somebody to me, so I had them. But what I do say to people was, if it's Teams, if it's Meets, it's Zoom, it can be Skype, whatever it is, telephone. If people are more confident at first, I will do that. But what I say to everybody is, this the meeting that we've got here, face to face or on Zoom, still face to face, where we can see each other. That's the best way of doing it, not over telephone. I will do a telephone for initial chat, but I will never do it for the sessions, only because I need to read the person as well. It's not all about just understanding the mind of the language, it's their body language, their facial expressions.
Yeah,
I need
because
to know that.
basically you're not just doing it by rote. Everybody who comes through your door or comes onto your screen is not getting the same speech, the same packet of
No. Yeah.
goods. So basically, everything that you've said, all the details that you've got, will be put into the description of the session. And so people can get in touch with you. You have Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, and get me on Facebook, Changing My Love as well on Instagram, or use my name, Tony Gordon, search that and you'll find it. I'm on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn as well.
Great. Well, everybody, this is Tony Gordon, and he is looking to help you. And you could very well do the best thing for yourself by doing that too, by going to see Tony for what it is that's ailing you, if you fit the criteria. And even if you're not sure, it doesn't hurt to have a chat. Thanks, Tony.
No problem. Thank you for writing me on again, Leslie. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye bye.